cave for 40 days, only a spark to light my way. I want to give out, I want to give in. This is our crime, this is our sin, but I still believe, I still believe. Through the pain and through the grief, through the lives, through the storms, through the cries, and through the wars, oh, I still believe. I'm flat on my back, out at sea, hoping these waves don't cover me. I'm turned and tossed upon the waves. When the darkness comes, I feel the grave, but I still believe, I still believe. Through the cold and through the heat, through the rain and through the tears, through the crowds and through the cheers, oh, I still believe. I'll march this road, I'll climb this hill, upon my knees if I have to. I'll take my place upon this stage. I'll wait till the end of time for you like everybody else. Woo! I'm out on my own, walking the streets, looking at faces that I meet. I feel like I want to go home. What do I feel? What do I know? But I still believe, I still believe. Through the shame and through the grief, through the heartache and through the tears, through the waiting and through the years, for people like us in places like this, we need all the hope that we can get. Oh, I still believe. evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's me, Seth, and I'm back with Branch Brothers. Let's get the call going with my good friend and co host, Rick, and we can get things started. Good evening.
Hello there.
So, we are finally on Branch Brothers. Um, we are gonna doing the story of Jacob.
Didn't we already do the story, Jacob?
Um, I think I think we did some of it. We left
oh,
off on Jacob coming to Canaan, I believe.
yeah, that's right. That's right. Before we do that, though, I do want to briefly share my topic on the on not in this matter specifically, but it is related to this current thing we have going on. So as you probably already know, or maybe not, this Wednesday marks Ash Wednesday, which marks start on the Lenten season on the Catholic calendar. But before that, there's actually a series of holidays that occurs every year in order to prepare us for Lent, and that season is known as Shrovetide.
Never heard
This
of it
is more
before.
yeah, it's also known as Carnival in certain parts of the world. But allow me to share the story. So, are you sharing a Discord stream, by the way?
Yeah, I thought we were going into a slideshow. My bad.
Nah, it's all good. I have a presentation for today. I was gonna do another chapter in the Whispers of Mary book, but that topic actually is a bit more in particular there's multiple parts into it. It's not ready yet. I need to work on it still, but I can have it ready for next week. But for
Okay then.
today, we're gonna pivot a little bit and then we'll go back to the book next week. So, back to Shrovetide. So Shrovetide is the English equivalent of what is known in the greater part of southern Europe as Carnival, a word which, in spite of the wild suggestions to the contrary, is undoubtedly to be derived from the quote taking away of flesh unquote, which marks the beginning of Lent. The English term Shrovetide come from to shrive or hear confessions, is sufficiently explained by a sentence in the Anglo-Saxon Ecclesiastical Institutes, translated from Theodophilus by Abbot Alfric around 1000 AD. Quote, in the week immediately before Lent, everyone shall go to his confessor and confess his deeds, and the confessor shall so strive him as he then may hear by his deeds what he is to do in the way of penance. End quote. In this same Shrovetide, the religious idea is uppermost, and the same is true of the German Fastnacht, or the Eve of the Fast. It is intelligible enough that before a long period of deprivations, human nature should allow itself some exceptional license in the way of frolic and good cheer. No appeal to vague and often inconsistent traces of earlier pagan customs seems needed to explain the general observance of a carnival celebration. The only clear fact which does not seem to be adequately accounted for is the widespread tendency to include the preceding Thursday, called in French Jeudi Gras and in German Vetter Donnerstag, just as Shrove Tuesday is respectively called Mardi Gras and Vetter Dingas. Yes, and by
Wait,
the
that's
way,
where Mardi Gras comes from?
yeah, it's actually part of this whole Shroom festival. It's actually because because Mardi Gras is like the day before Ash Wednesday. It's like the final day of the Shroom festival before we go to the Lenten season.
Man, that is incredibly surreal to learn.
I know, right? Yes. Thank you, sorry. So with Monday and Tuesday, which follows Kingagisima, this is basically the Sunday before Ash Wednesday. The English custom of eating pancakes was undoubtedly suggested by the need of using up the eggs and fat which were, originally at least, prohibited articles of diet during the 40 days of Lent. Yeah, just to be clear, that means no pancakes during Lent, because you couldn't eat eggs during Lent, at least originally.
Can you now?
I believe so. This dates back to the very earlier practices of Lent. I think over time it was mainly limited to just not eating meat on Fridays, but much earlier on it was like you couldn't eat eggs, you couldn't drink milk, you couldn't eat cheese, you couldn't have like no, you could have salt actually. So actually, this is
I
around the
would
time they said.
see. This is another reason that I am not a Catholic. I can't keep to the dietary constraints you guys have.
Okay, well, this is like very early church takes on Lent. This is over time the way in which the dieting is handled has evolved and changed over the years. Well, of course we still die, but the way we diet has changed. If that makes sense.
Right.
All right, just be good. Now, where was I? Aha! The same prohibition is, of course, mainly responsible for the association of eggs with the Easter festival at the other end of Lent. In other words, this is why we have an Easter egg hunt and stuff during Easter. It's actually because of the Shrovetide thing.
Oh,
So you can have eggs before Lent and after Lent, just not during Lent.
okay.
All right. Although the observers of Shrovetide England never ran into the wild excesses which often marked this period of license in southern climes, still various sports and especially games of football, this is soccer in Europe, were common in almost all parts of the country. And in the households of the great, it was customary to celebrate the evening of Shrove Tuesday by performance of plays and masques. One form of cruel sport particularly prevalent at this season was the throwing at chickens. Neither does it seem to have been confined to England. The festive observance of Shrovetide had become far too much a part of the life of the people to be summarily discarded at the Reformation. In Decker's Seven Deadly Sins of London, 1606, we read, quote, they presently, like pretenses upon Shrove Tuesday, take the game into their own hands and do what they list. And we learn from contemporary writers that the day was almost everywhere kept as a holiday, while many kinds of houseplay seem to have been tolerated or winked at in the universities and public schools. The church repeatedly made efforts to check the excesses of the carnival, especially in Italy. During the 16th century, in particular, a special form of the 40 hours prayer was instituted in many places on the Monday and Tuesday of Shrovetide, partly to draw people away from these dangerous occasions of sin, partly to mark expiation for the excesses committed, by a special constitution addressed by Pope Benedict XIV to the archbishops and bishops of the Papal States, and headed Super Bacchanalibus, a plenary indulgence was granted in 1747 to those who took part in the exposition of the Blessed Sacrament, which was to be carried out daily for 3 days during the carnival season. And yeah, that's basically it.
Okay.
Just thought I'd draw a little tidbit because, like, I want to do something for Ash Wednesday, but I already covered Ash Wednesday 2 years ago. But this gives me a chance to cover something similar to it, or what happens right before it.
Cool. All right then. We will continue on with reading of Jacob. If I can get this Bible open. There we go.
Yeah, if I recall correctly, I think this was like right after he wrestles the angel.
Yeah, we Jacob and Esau meet. Jacob's return to Bethel. Uh,
Actually, yeah, I think it was at the start of 33. If I were, yeah, I right, because we finished when we finished, like he had wrestled the angel, and that's how he got the name Israel.
yeah, for whatever reason, no, we admit we had Jacob and Esau had met, and so we're on Jacob comes to Canaan.
Oh, right, okay, might be.
Then
Oh
Jacob
dear.
came safely to the city of Shechem, which is in the land of Canaan. When he came from Padan Aram, and he pitched his tent before the city, and he bought the parcel of land where he had pitched his tent from the children of Hamor, Shechem's father, for 100 pieces of money. Then he erected an altar there and called it El Eloi Israel. Now Dinah, the daughter of Leah, whom she had borne to Jacob, went out to see the daughters of the land. And when Shechem, the son of Hamor, the Hevite, prince of the country, saw her, he took her and lay with her, and violated her. His soul was strongly attracted to Dinah, the daughter of Jacob, and he loved the young woman, and spoke kindly to the young woman. So Shechem spoke to his father Hamor, saying, get me this young woman as a wife. And Jacob heard that he had defiled Dinah his daughter. Now his sons were with his livestock in the field. So Jacob held his peace until they came. Then Hamor, the father of Shechem, went out to Jacob to speak to him. And the sons of Jacob came in from the field when they heard it. And the men were grieved and very angry, because he had done a disgraceful thing in Israel by laying with Jacob's daughter, a thing which ought not to be done. But Hamor spoke with them, saying, "The soul of my son Shechem longs for your daughter. Please give her to him as a wife, and make marriages with us. Give your daughters to us, and take our daughters to yourselves. So you shall dwell with us, and the land shall be before you. Dwell and trade in it, and acquire possessions for yourselves in it." Then Shechem said to her father and her brothers, "Let me find favor in your eyes, and whatever you say to me I will give. Ask me ever so much dowry and gift, and I will give you according to what you say to me. But give me the young woman as a wife." But the sons of Jacob answered Shechem and Hamor his father, and spoke deceitfully, because he had defiled Dinah their sister. And they said to them, "We cannot do this thing, to give our sister to one who is uncircumcised, for that would be a reproach to us. But on this condemnation we will consent to you. If you will become as we are, if every male of you is circumcised, then we will give our daughters to you, and we will take your daughters to us, and we will dwell with you, and we will become one people. But if you will not heed us and be circumcised, then we will take our daughters and be gone." And their words pleased Hamor and Shechem, Hamor's son. So the young man did not delay to do the thing, because he delighted in Jacob's daughter. He was more honorable than all the household of his father. And Hamor and Shechem his son came to the gate of the city, and spoke with the men of the city, saying, "These men are at peace with us, therefore let them dwell in the land and trade in it, for indeed the land is large enough for them. Let us take their daughters to us as wives, and let us give them our daughters. Only on this condition will the men consent to dwell with us, to be one people. If every male among us is circumcised, as they are circumcised, we will not their livestock, their property, and every animal of theirs be ours. Only let us consent to them, and they will dwell with us." And all who went out of the gate of his city heeded Hamor and Shechem his son. Every male was circumcised, all who went out of the gate of the city. Now it came to pass on the third day, when they were in pain, that the two sons of Jacob, Simeon and Levi, Dinah's brothers, each took his sword, and came boldly upon the city, and killed all the males. And they killed Hamor and Shechem his son with the edge of the sword, and took Dinah from Shechem's house, and went out. The sons of Jacob came upon the slain and plundered the city, because their sister had been defiled. They took their sheep, their oxen, and their donkeys, that what was in the city, and what was in the field, and all their wealth, all their little ones and their wives they took captive, and they plundered even all that was in the houses. Then Jacob said to Simeon and Levi, "You have troubled me by making me obnoxious among the inhabitants of the land, among the Canaanites and the Perizzites. And since I am few in number, they will gather themselves together against me and kill me. I shall be destroyed, my household and I." But they said, "Should he not treat our sister like a harlot?" Jacob returns to Bethel. Then God said to Jacob, "Arise, go up to Bethel, and dwell there, and make an altar there to God, who appeared to you when you fled from the face of Esau your brother." And Jacob said to his household, and to all who were with him, "Put away the foreign gods that are among you. Purify yourselves, and change your garments. Then let us arise and go up to Bethel, and I will make an altar there to God, who answered me in the day of my distress, and has been with me in the way which I have gone." Excuse me. Um. So they gave Jacob all the foreign gods which were in their hands, and the earrings which were in their ears, and Jacob hid them under the Tiberith tree, which was by Shechem. And they journeyed, and the terror of God was upon the cities that were all around them, and they did not pursue the sons of Jacob. So Jacob came to Luz, that is, Bethel, which is in the land of Canaan, and he and all the people who were with him, and he built an altar there, and called the place El Bethel, because their God appeared to him when he fled from the face of his brother. Now Deborah, Rebekah's nurse, died, and she was buried below Bethel under the terebinth tree. So the name of it was called Alon Bachuth. Then God appeared to Jacob again when he came from Padan Aram, and blessed him. And God said to him, Your name is Jacob, your name shall not be called Jacob any more, but Israel shall be your name. So he called his name Israel. Also God said to him, I am God Almighty, be fruitful and multiply. A nation, a company of nations shall proceed from you, and kings shall come from your body. The land which I gave Abraham and Isaac I give to you, and your descendants after you. I give this land. Then God went up from him in the place where he talked with him. So Jacob set up a pillar in the place where he talked with him, a pillar of stone, and he poured a drink of faring on it, and he poured oil on it. And Jacob called the name of the place where God spoke with him Bethel. The death of Rachel. Then they journeyed from Bethel, and were there was but a little distance to go to Ephrath. Rachel labored in childbirth, and she had hard labor. Now it came to pass when she was in hard labor that the midwife said to her, Do not fear, you will have this son also. And so it was as her soul was departing, for she died, that she called his name Ben-Oni, but his father called him Benjamin. So Rachel died and was buried on the way to Ephrath, that is Bethlehem. And Jacob set a pillar on her grave, which is the pillar of Rachel's grave to this day. Then Israel journeyed and pitched in his tent beyond the Tower of Eder. And it happened when Israel dwelt in that land that Reuben went and lay with Bilhah, his father's concubine, and Israel heard about it. Jacob's 12 sons. Now the sons of Jacob were 12. The sons of Leah were Reuben, Jacob's firstborn, and Simeon, Levi, Judah, Ishar, and Zebulun. The sons of Rachel were Joseph and Benjamin. The sons of Bilhah, Rachel's maidservant, were Dan and Naphtali. And the sons of Zilaph, Leah's maidservant, were Gad and Asher. These were the sons of Jacob who were born to him in Padan Aram. The death of Isaac. Then Jacob came to his father Isaac at Mamre, or Kirjath Arba, that is Hebron, where Abraham and Isaac had dwelt. Now the days of Isaac were 180 years. So Isaac breathed his last and died, and was gathered to his people, being old and full of days, and his sons Esau and Jacob buried him. Chapter 36. The family of Esau. Now this is the genealogy of Esau, who is Edom. Esau took his wives from the daughters of Canaan: Adah, the daughter of Elon, the Hittite; Aholibamah, the daughter of Anna, the daughter of Zibeon, the Hivite; and Besmath, Ishmael's daughter, sister of Nebajoth. Now Adah bore Eliphaz to Esau, and Besmath bore Reuel, and Aholibamah bore Jeus, Jalam, and Korah. These were the sons of Esau who were born to him in the land of Canaan. And then Esau took his wives, his sons, his daughters, and all the persons of the household, his cattle, and all his animals, and all his goods, which he had gained in the land of Canaan, and went to a country from the presence of his brother Jacob. For their possessions were too great for them to dwell together, and the land where they were strangers could not support them because of their livestock. So Esau dwelt in the Mount Seir. Esau is Edom. And this is the genealogy of Esau, the father of the Edomites, in the Mount of Seir. These were the names of Esau's sons: Eliphaz, the son of Adah, the wife of Esau, and Reuel, the son of Besmath, the wife of Esau. And the sons of Eliphaz were Teman, Omar, Zepho, Gatam, and Kenaz. Now Timnah was the concubine of Eliphaz, Esau's son, and she bore Amalek to Ephaz. These were the sons of Ada, Esau's wife. These were the sons of Reuel, Nahath, Zerah, Shammah, and Mizah. These were the sons of Besmath, Esau's wife. These were the sons of oh no, not another one. Aholibamah, Esau's wife, the daughter of Anna, the daughters of Zibeon, and she bore Esau, Jeush, Jalam, and Korah, the chiefs of Edom. These were the. Do we have to do this?
I mean, this is basically. I mean, you could hop over if you wanted to. It's just go over all the different rulers of the Kingdom of Edom, leading up to future time. That's up to you.
Yeah, I'm gonna hop over to Joseph Dreams of Greatness.
Very well then. Let
the
us continue there.
the point of the point here is that we have a family tree going down from Esau's line down to Joseph and his family, where the story really picks up. Um,
Yeah, so think of this one as essentially another time jump from like the days of Isaac's passing to Joseph being old enough to have dreams to interpret or the ability to interpret dreams.
yes. 37. Now Jacob dwelt in the land where his father was a stranger, in the land of Canaan. This is the history of Jacob. Joseph, being 17 years old, was feeding the flock with his brothers, and the lad was with the sons of Bilhah and the sons of Zilaph, his father's wives, and Joseph brought a bad report of them to his father. Now Israel loved Joseph more than all his children, because he was the son of his old age. Also, he made him a tunic of many colors. But when his brother saw that their father loved him more than all his brothers, they hated him and could not speak peaceably to him. Now Joseph had a dream, and he told it to his brothers, and they hated him even more. So he said to them, "Please hear this dream which I have dreamed. There were binding sheaves in the field. Then behold, my sheaf arose, and also stood upright. And indeed your sheaves stood all around, bowing down to my sheaf." And his brothers said to him, "Shall you indeed reign over us? Or shall you indeed have dominion over us?" So they hated him even more for his dreams and for his words. Then he dreamed still another dream, and told it to his brothers, and said, "Look, I have dreamed another dream, and this time the sun and the moon and even the stars bowed down to me." So he told it to his father and his brothers, and his father rebuked him and said to him, "What is this dream that you have dreamed? Shall your mother and I and your brothers indeed come to bow down to the earth before you?" And his brothers envied him, but his father kept that matter in mind. Joseph is sold by his brothers. Then his brothers went to feed their father's flock in Shechem. And Israel said to Joseph, "Are you not." Oh, I should probably clarify. This is not the same Israel as the guy who was named Israel by God. Just making that clear. And Israel said to Joseph, Are not your brothers feeding the flock in Shechem? Come, I will send you to them." So he said to him, "Here I am." And then he said to him, "Please go and see if it is well with your brothers, and well with the flocks, and bring back word to me." So he sent him out to the valley of Hebron, and he went to Shechem. Now a certain man found him, and there he was wandering in the field. And the man asked him, saying, "What are you seeking?" So he said, "I am seeking my brothers. Please tell me where they are feeding their flocks." And the man said, "They have departed from here, for I heard them say, 'Let us go to Dothan.'" So Joseph went after his brothers, and found them in Dothan. Now when they saw him afar off, even before he came near them, they conspired against him to kill him. Then they said to one another, "Look, this dreamer is coming. Come therefore, let us now kill him and cast him into some pit, and we shall say some wild beast has devoured him. We shall see what becomes of his dreams." But Reuben heard it, and he delivered him out of their hands, and said, "Let us not kill him." And Reuben said to them, "Shed no blood, but cast him into this pit which is in the wilderness, and do not lay a hand on him, that he might deliver him out of their hands and bring him back to his father. So it came to pass when Joseph had come to his brothers that they stripped Joseph of his tunic and the tunic of many colors that was on him. They took him and cast him into a pit. And the pit was empty, there was no water in it. And they sat down to eat a meal. Then they lifted their eyes and looked, and there was a company of Ishmaelites coming from Gilead with their camels, bringing spices, balm, and myrrh on their way to carry them down to Egypt. So Judah said to his brothers, "What profit is there if we kill our brother and conceal his blood? Come, let us sell him to the Ishmaelites, and let not our hand be upon him, for he is our brother and our flesh." And his brothers listened. The Midianite traders passed by, so the brothers pulled Joseph up and lifted him out of the pit and sold him to the Ishmaelites for 20 shekels of silver. Bro, only 20? That's a human being you're selling. Get at least 70, my guy.
So someone got sold into slavery. Your biggest concern is the money?
Well, I mean, I'm just saying. Do you want to know what the financial translation is for 20 pieces of silver? Which, mind you, is what Judas sold Jesus for. That buys you a week's worth of groceries in medieval times. Yeah,
Whoa! I think you just drew another Old Testament New Testament parallel. Look at that.
yeah.
Actually, if I recall correctly, I'm pretty sure Judas did it for like 30 pieces of silver. Did he not?
You know what? It might have been 30. I'd have to reread. The point is, there's a reason everyone in the Middle Ages hated Judas. He sold the Messiah out for a week's worth of groceries. Good Lord.
That's the rest is history.
Um, It's 20 shekels of silver, and they took Joseph to Egypt. Then Reuben returned to the pit, and indeed Joseph was not in the pit. And he tore his clothes, and he returned to his brothers, and said, "The lad is no more, and where shall I go?" So they took Joseph's tunic, killed a kid of the goats, and dipped the tunic in the blood. Then they sent the tunic of many colors, and they brought it to their father, and said, "We have found this. Do you know whether it is your son's tunic or not?" And he recognized it and said, "It is my son's tunic. A wild beast has devoured him." Without doubt, Joseph is torn to pieces. Then Jacob tore his clothes, put sackcloth on his waist, and mourned for his son many days. And all his sons and all his daughters arose to comfort him, but he refused to be comforted. And he said, "For I shall go down into the grave to my son in mourning." Thus his father wept for him. Now the Midianites had sold him in Egypt to Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh and captain of the guard. Judah and Tamar. It came to pass that at the time that Judah departed from his brothers and visited a certain Adullamite, whose name was Hira, and Judah saw there a daughter of a certain Canaanite, whose name was Shua, and he married her and went into her, and so she conceived and bore a son, and he called his name Ir. She conceived again and bore a son, and she called his name Onan. And she conceived yet again and bore a son, and called his name Sehala. He was at Shezib when she bore him. Then Judah took a wife for his firstborn, and her name was Tamar. But Judah's firstborn, was wicked in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord killed him. And Judah said to Onan, "Go in to your brother's wife and marry her, and raise up an heir to your brother." But Onan knew that the heir would not be his, and it came to pass, when he went into his brother's wife, that he emitted on the ground, lest he should give an heir to his brother. And the thing which he did displeased the Lord, therefore he killed him also. Seems kind of disproportionate, but okay.
Well, here's the thing, though. Remember, in the days of the ancient world, when if a brother marries a woman, but the man passed away without giving any offspring, it is responsibility of the next brother, the next in line, to continue the offspring. So by refusing to spill the sea, what he's doing is he's basically having sex with with his now wife without procreation. He's essentially doing the pull-out method, and this is immoral because he's essentially separating the procreative act from the unifying act. So he's basically trying to have his cake and eat it too, right? He's trying to enjoy the sex with his wife without having children for his brother.
Right. Then Judah said to Tamar, his daughter-in-law, remain a widow in your father's house till my son Shelah is grown. For he said, lest he also die like his brothers. And Tamar went and dwelt in her father's house. Now in the process of time, the daughter of Shelah, Judah's wife, died, and Judah was comforted, and went up to his sheep shearers at Timnah. He and his friend Hira the Adullamite, and it was told Tamar, saying, look, your father-in-law is going up to Timnah to shear his sheep. So he took off her widow's garment. So she took off her widow's garments, covered herself with a veil, and wrapped herself, and sat in an open place which was on the way to Timnah. For she saw that Shelah was grown, and she was not given to him as a wife. When Judah saw her, he thought that she was a harlot, because she had covered her face. Then he turned to her by the way, and said, please let me come in to you, for he did not know that she was his daughter-in-law. So she said, what will you give me that you may come in to me? And he said, I will send a young goat from the flock. So she said, will you give me a pledge till you send it? Then he said, what pledge shall I give you? So she said, your signet and cord, and your staff that is in your hand. Then he gave them to her, and went into her, and she conceived by him. So she arose and went away, and laid aside her veil, and put on the garments of her widowhood. And Judah sent the young goat by the hand of his friend the Adullamite to receive his pledge from the woman's hand. But he did not find her. Then he asked the men of that place, saying, where is the harlot who was openly by the roadside? And they said, there was no harlot in this place. So he returned to Judah and said, I cannot find her. Also the men of the place said there was no harlot in this place. Then Judah said, let her take them for herself, lest we be shamed. For I sent this young goat, and you have not found her. And so it came to pass about 3 months after that Judah was told, saying, Tamar, your daughter-in-law, has played the harlot. Furthermore, she is with child by harlotry. So Judah said, bring her out, and let her be burned. When she was brought out, she sent to her father-in-law, saying, by the man to whom these belong, I am with child. And she said, please determine whose these are, the signet and cord and staff. So Judah acknowledged them, and said she had been more righteous than I, because I did not give to Shelah my son. And he never knew her again. Now it came to pass at the time for giving birth, that behold, twins were in her womb. And so it was, when she was given birth, that the one put out his hand, and the midwife took a scarlet thread and bound it on his hand, saying, this one came out first. Then it happened as he drew back his hand, that his brother came out unexpectedly. And she said, how did you break through? This breach be upon you. Therefore his name was called Perez. Afterward his brother came out, who had the scarlet thread on his hand, and his name was called Zerah. Joseph as a slave in Egypt. Now Joseph had been taken down to Egypt, and Potiphar, an officer of the Pharaoh, captain of the guard, an Egyptian, brought him from the Ishmaelites, who had taken him down there. The Lord was with Joseph, and he was a successful man, and he was in the house of his master the Egyptian. And his master saw the Lord was with him, and that the Lord made all he did prosper in his hand. So Joseph found favor in his sight, and served him. Then he made him overseer of his house, and all that he had put under his authority. So it was from the time that he had made him overseer of his house and all that he had, that the Lord blessed the Egyptian's house for the sake of Joseph, and the blessing of the Lord was on all that he had in the house and in the field. Thus he left all that he had in Joseph's hand, and he did not know what he had expected. Oh, he had not known what he had except for the bread which he ate. Now Joseph was a handsome in form and appearance, and it came to pass after these things that his master's wife cast longing eyes on Joseph, and she said, "Lie with me." But he refused, and said to his master's wife, "Look, my master does not know what is with me in the house, and he has committed all that he has had to my hand. There is no one greater in this house than I, nor has he kept back anything from me, but you, because you are his wife. How then can I do this great wickedness, and sin against God?" So it was as she spoke to Joseph day by day, that he did not heed her to lie with her, nor to be with her. But it happened about this time when Joseph went into the house to do his work, and none of the men of the house was inside, that she caught him by his garment, saying, "Lie with me." Please excuse me, chat. That might be important. That could be job related.
We'll be back after these messages.
My apologies.
It's all good.
She caught him by his garment, saying, "Lie with me." But he left his garment in her hand and fled, and ran outside. And so it was, when she saw that he had left his garment in her hand and fled outside, that she called to the men of her house, and spoke to them, saying, "See, he has brought in to us a Hebrew to mock us. He came in to me to lie with me, and I cried out with a loud voice. And it happened when he heard that I lifted my voice and cried out, that he left his garment with me and fled and went outside. So she kept his garment with her until his master came home. Then she spoke to him with words like these, saying, "The Hebrew servant whom you brought to us came in to me to mock me. So it happened as I lifted my voice and cried out, that he left his garment with me and fled outside." So it was, when his master heard the words which his wife had spoken to him, saying, "Your servant did this to me after this manner," that his anger was aroused. Then Joseph's master took him and put him into prison, a place where the king's prisoners were confined. And he was there in prison, but the Lord was with Joseph and showed him mercy. And yes, and he gave him favor in the sight of the keeper of the prison. And the keeper of the prison committed to Joseph's hand all the prisoners who were in the prison. Whatever they did there, it was his doing. The keeper of the prison did not look into anything that was under Joseph's authority, because the Lord was with him. And whatever he did, the Lord made it prosper. The prisoner's dreams. It came to pass after these things that the butler and the baker of the king of Egypt offended their lord. The king of Egypt and Pharaoh was angry with his two officers, the chief butler and the chief baker. So he put them in custody in the house of the captain of the guard in the prison, the place where Joseph was confined. And the captain of the guard charged Joseph with them, and he served them, so they were in the custody for a while. Then the butler and the baker of the king of Egypt, who were confined in the prison, had a dream, both of them each man's dream in one night, and each man's dream with its own interpretation. And Joseph came into them in the morning, and Joseph came in to them in the morning, and looked at them, and saw that they were sad. So he asked Pharaoh's officers who were with him in custody of his lord's house, saying, "Why do you look so sad today?" And they said to him, "We have each had a dream, and there is no interpreter of it." So Joseph said to them, "Do not interpretations belong to God? Tell them to me, please." Then the chief butler told his dream to Joseph, and said to him, "Behold, in my dream a vine was before me, and in the vine were 3 branches. It was as though it budded, and its blossoms shot forth, and its clusters brought forth ripe grapes. Then Pharaoh's cup was in my hand, and I took the grapes and pressed them into Pharaoh's cup, and placed the cup in Pharaoh's hand." And Joseph said to him, "This is the interpretation of it. The 3 branches are 3 days. Now within 3 days Pharaoh will lift up your head and restore you to your place, and you will put Pharaoh's cup in his hand according to the former manner, when you were his butler. But remember me when it is well with you, and please show kindness to me. Make mention of me to Pharaoh, and get me out of this house, for indeed I was stolen away from the land of the Hebrews, and I have done nothing here that they should put me in the dungeon." When the chief baker saw that the interpretation was good, he said to Joseph, I also was in my dream, and there were 3 white baskets on my head. In the uppermost basket were all kinds of baked goods for Pharaoh, and the birds ate them out of the basket on my head." So Joseph answered, "This is the interpretation of it. The 3 baskets are 3 days. Within 3 days Pharaoh will lift off your head from you and hang you on a tree, and the birds will eat your flesh from you." Now it came to pass on the 3rd day, which was Pharaoh's birthday, that he made a feast for all his servants, and he lifted up the head of the chief butler and of the chief baker among his servants. Then he restored the chief butler to his butlership again, and he placed the cup in Pharaoh's hand. But he hanged the chief baker, and as Joseph had interpreted to them. Yet the chief butler did not remember Joseph, but forgot him. Chapter 41. Pharaoh's Dream. Then it came to pass at the end of 2 full years that Pharaoh had a dream, and behold, he stood by the river. Suddenly there came up out of the river 7 cows, fine-looking and fat, and they fed on the meadow. Then behold, 7 other cows came up after them out of the river, ugly and gaunt, and stood by the other cows on the bank of the river. And the ugly and gaunt cows ate the 7 fine-looking and fat cows. So Pharaoh awoke. He slept and dreamed a second time, and suddenly 7 heads of grain came up from one stalk, plump and good. Then behold, 7 thin heads, blighted by the east wind, sprang up after them, and the 7 thin heads devoured the 7 plump and full heads. So Pharaoh awoke, and indeed it was a dream. Now it came to pass in the morning that his spirit was troubled, and he sent and called for all the magicians of Egypt and all its wise men. Pharaoh told them his dreams, but there was no one who could interpret them for Pharaoh. The chief butler spoke to Pharaoh, saying, I remember my faults this day, when Pharaoh was angry with his servants and put me in custody in the house of the captain of the guard. Both me and the chief baker, we each had a dream in one night, and each of us dreamed according to the interpretation of his own dream. Now there was a young Hebrew man with us, a servant of the captain of the guard, and we told him, and he interpreted our dreams for us. Each man he interpreted according to his own dreams. And it came to pass, just as he interpreted for us, so it happened. He restored me to my office, and he hanged him. Then Pharaoh sent and called Joseph, and they brought him quickly out of the dungeon, and he shaved, changed his clothing, and came to Pharaoh. And Pharaoh said to Joseph, I have had a dream, and there is no one who can interpret it. But I have heard it said of you that you can understand a dream to interpret it. So Joseph answered Pharaoh, saying, It is not in me. God will give Pharaoh an answer of peace. Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, Behold, in my dream I stood at the bank of the river. Suddenly 7 cows came up out of the river, fine looking and fat, and they fed on the meadow. Then behold, 7 other cows came up after them, poor and very ugly and gaunt, such ugliness as I have never seen in all the land of Egypt. And the gaunt and ugly cows ate the first 7 fat cows. When they had eaten them up, no one would have known that they had eaten them, for they were just as ugly as at the beginning. So I awoke. Also I saw in my dream, and 7 ugly heads came up on one stalk, full and good. Then behold, 7 heads with withered and thin and blighted by the east wind sprang up after them. And then the thin heads devoured the 7 good heads. So I told this to the magicians, but there was no one who could explain it to me. Then Joseph said to Pharaoh, The dreams of Pharaoh are one. God has shown Pharaoh what he is about to do. The 7 good cows are 7 years. The dreams are done one. And the 7 thin and ugly cows which came up after them are 7 years. And the 7 empty heads blighted by the east wind are 7 years of famine. This is the thing which I have spoken to Pharaoh. God has shown Pharaoh what he is about to do. Indeed, 7 years of great plenty will come throughout all the land of Egypt. But after them 7 years of famine will arise, and all the plenty will be forgotten in the land of Egypt, and the famine will deplete the land. So the plenty will not be known in the land because of the famine following it, for it will be very severe. And the dream was repeated to Pharaoh twice because the thing is established by God, and God will shortly bring it to pass. Now therefore let Pharaoh select a discerning and wise man and set him over the land of Egypt. Let Pharaoh do this, and let him appoint the officers over the land to collect 1/5 of the produce of the land of Egypt in the 7 plentiful years, and let them gather all the food of those good years that are coming, and store up the grain under the authority of Pharaoh, and let them keep food in the cities. Then that food shall be as a reserve for the land for the 7 years of famine, which shall be in the land of Egypt, that the land may not perish during the famine. Now, we have been at this for about, surprisingly, 54 minutes. This has gone by very quickly. Should we switch over to worship?
Yep, let's head on over.
All right. I will disconnect the call and activate the display.
See you soon, everyone. Goodbye.
There we go. Activate the display. Documents. Why is this so wide? That's better. Worship songs. Here we go. Now, what should we start with? We'll start with This Is the Day. No printer. Start from first slide. This is the day. This is the day. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice. Let us rejoice. Let us rejoice and be glad. This is the day. This is the day. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice. Let us rejoice. Let us rejoice and be glad. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad. This is the day. This is the day. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice. Let us rejoice. Let us rejoice and be glad. Give thanks to the Lord, for God is good, whose love endures forever. Let all the children of Israel sing, God's love endures forever. This is the day. This is the day. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice. Let us rejoice. Let us rejoice and be glad. The right hand of God has struck with power. The right hand of God is exalted. I shall not die, but I shall live and proclaim the word of the Lord. This is the day. This is the day. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice. Let us rejoice. Let us rejoice and be glad. The stone which the builders rejected has become the foundation of our house. By the Lord has this been done, our wonderful tune behold. This is the day. This is the day. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice. Let us rejoice. Let us rejoice and be glad. Let us rejoice and be glad. All right, that was This Is the Day. Next up, we shall do To You, O Lord. To you, O Lord, I lift up my soul, my God. Your ways, O Lord, make known to me. Teach me your paths. Guide me in your truth, for and for you I will wait. To you, O Lord, I lift up my soul, my God. Good and upright is the Lord, He shows us the way. He guides the meek to justice, He teaches the humble to follow His ways. To you, O Lord, I lift up my soul, my God. Your way, O Lord, is kindness to those who are true. Your friendship is with us who love you. You reveal to them your word. To you, O Lord, I lift up my soul, my God.
All right, that was To You, O Lord. Our third worship song is going to be A Mighty Fortress is Our God.
A mighty fortress is our God, a bulwark never failing. Our helper he amid the flood of mortal ills prevailing. For still our ancient foe does seek to work us woe. His craft and power are great, and armed with cruel hate. On earth is not his equal. Did we in our own strength confide, our striving would be losing. We're not the right man on our side, the man of God's own choosing. Wherever that may be, Christ Jesus, it is He, Lord of hosts, His name, from age to age the same, and He will win the battle. And those words with fells filled should threaten to undo us. We will not fear, for God has willed His truth to triumph through us. The Prince of Darkness grim, we tremble not for Him. His rage we can endure, for lo, His doom is sure. One little word shall fell Him, that word above all earthly powers, the thanks to them abideth. The Spirit and the gifts are ours, through Him who with us sideth. Let goods and kindred go, this world a life also. The body they may kill, God's truth abideth still. His kingdom is forever. 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 A mighty fortress is our God, Jesus Christ, eternal word. Mighty fortress is our God, Jesus Christ, eternal word. A mighty fortress is our God, Jesus Christ, eternal word. A mighty fortress is our God, Jesus Christ, eternal word. His kingdom is forever.
God is our refuge and strength, a very present help. Okay, I guess I'm not reading the the psalm text. That was A Mighty Fortress is Our God. And our fourth and final worship song is going to be... Renewed. Actually, no, not Renewed. Let's do... Oh, where is it? Do I not have Absolution Day on here? Oh, you know what? Let me check videos. I forgot that I didn't have it as a slideshow.
The stage is set, a courtroom where I stand shackled in chains. No defense to fight the charges brought against my name. Guilty on all counts, and the penalty is death. I cannot say a word because I have no words to say. For I deserve the final judgment brought on me today. Guilty on all counts, and the penalty is death. Wait no more. Suddenly another takes the stand, my advocate, to plead my case, a perfect, blameless man. I will take his penalty, place the judgment all on me, and let him go free. Bound in chains, I owed a debt that I could not pay, standing guilty in every way, when grace and mercy bought absolution. Adonai, I raise my hands to the sky in praise, for you have taken my sin away. Behold, today is my absolution day. Only the death of one could make the sacrifice complete. The Lamb has sprinkled his own blood upon the mercy seat. Absolution Day. Burn the stain of sin away by my blood. All you have laid and enter in, I'll give you rest, so lay your burden down and start again. I've already paid your price and built a bridge from death to life, to eternal life. Bound in chains, I owed a debt that I could not pay, standing guilty in every way, when grace and mercy brought absolution. Adonai, I raise my hands to the sky in praise, for you have taken my sin away. Behold, today is my absolution day. Oh. Can say I'm worthy, no sacraments or holy laws can take my sin away. No church can wash my spirit clean, for the scarlet stain that paints my soul to sleep runs way too deep. The blessed holy water can sanctify me in the eyes of God, the great I am. But he has made provisions to lift me up and wash me in the blood of the spotless Lamb. Christ alone is worthy to pay the price to set all sinners free. For even me, when our works fall short and efforts fail, I realize that faith alone's the key. Absolution for all who believe, and chains I owed a debt that I could not pay, standing guilty in every way, when grace and mercy brought absolution. Adonai, I raise my hands to the sky in praise, for you have taken my sin away. Behold, today is my absolution day. I owed a debt that I could not pay, standing guilty in every way, when grace and mercy brought absolution. Adonai, I raise my hands to the sky in praise, for you have taken my sin away. Today is my absolution. Bound in chains, I owed a debt that I could not pay, standing guilty in every way, when grace and mercy brought absolution. Adonai, I raise my hands to the sky in praise, for you have taken my sin away. Behold, today is my absolution day.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Absolution Day by Theocracy. I'm going to close this in prayer, and we are going to find somebody to raid. Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our transgressions, even as we forgive those who've transgressed against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, always and forever. Lord, thank you for watching over us in times of uncertainty. When the world seems at its bleakest, you are always there, O Lord. Your presence is ever comforting, and though there are times when we are afraid that we might not make it to the end of our that we've made it to the end of our rope, you give us the strength and the courage to go on. Lord, be with the lost and the broken, the disheartened and the desperate. Bring healing and restoration into their lives as only you can bring. In your name I pray. Amen. I want to thank you for tuning in tonight. I'm going to be back with the Homefront reading in a bit. I'm going to take a break, but I'll be back at about like 8 p.m. Our raid message is going to be God be with you.